Here's a question that keeps coming up. Where are your movie reviews, Chris? Well, if you want up to the minute, exactly as they happen, as I've seen them chats about films, follow me on Twitter, @OfficialCDJ, and also subscribe to the Big Damn channel here on YouTube, because every week in the podcast, Matt and I, if we've seen a movie, we'll review it. So there you go. That's where you'll get the immediate movie reviews, because there's no point me using my spare time, of which I use my spare time now to work on 3 YouTube channels. There's no point me using my spare time to repeat something I've already said on the other channel. So I thought what I'd do here is what I did a few weeks back, where we had a catch-up. And I think this is how I'm going to do movie reviews on here from now on. If you want my big full thoughts, go to the Big Damn channel. But if you want a bit of a recap, especially in this video of the last 5 movies I saw in cinemas now, then stick around. Well, they call him Baby Driver was amazing. Baby Driver is Edgar Wright's 5th movie, after, of course, the Cornetto trilogy, Shaun the Dead, Hot Fuzz, The World's End, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Baby Driver is a very simple story of a kid with tinnitus who got into a bad car accident as when he was very young, who now can only sort of keep his head on straight and concentrate if he's listening to music. He also is an amazing driver, so he uses music to choreograph to himself getaway drives, whereas he acts as a getaway driver for some big heists. Excellent cast throughout. John Hamm, friggin' Kevin Spacey, like Jamie Foxx in particular is very terrifying in this movie. Ansel Elgort, I think that's the name of the actor who plays Baby. I probably should have checked that. He's got an interesting name. Basically, everybody. Baby and Deborah in particular are so sweet. It's great. I'm a big fan of very small, concise films that give you 90 minutes thereabouts of their time to tell a story that is small and precise. Things like Dead Man's Shoes or Submarine. I'm just looking at my shelf, like trying to like narrow down exactly what I'm talking about. Like films like Falling Down, like the sort of these Looking for Eric, these small contained stories that can be big in scale and have big set pieces, but are stuck in 90 minutes and just do the job. And Baby Driver does that spectacularly. Some of the best chase sequences I've seen in cinema. Edgar Wright's usual trademark style is there, not visually, however. He's not doing the usual like quick cuts like you get with the Shaun of the Dead and that trilogy. It's more that his like place markers are there. For example, foreshadowing in a way where when you're watching the movie you can't figure it out, but when you watch the movie a second time, which I did, you go, oh, stuff like that. The music, like, I mean, it's a chase and heist movie that's essentially choreographed, and it works superbly. It's brilliant. If you want something that combines music and freeways, it shits all over La La Land's opening sequence. That's not hard though. Oh, controversy. It's hot. Oh dear. Baby Driver, highly recommended. As a small, precise piece of art, it's 5 stars from me. I thoroughly enjoyed it, bought the soundtrack, cannot wait to see it again when it comes on home video. I'll be snapping that bad boy up. Bum 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 bum. Spider-Man Homecoming. I really enjoyed this. I am a huge Spider-Man fan. Spidey is my boy, he says with a Batman logo just over his shoulder, but Spider-Man's my kid. He's my favourite superhero. Behind the camera right now is a shelf with all of the movie action figures of Spider-Man so far on, including a Tom Holland book from Civil War. So I was psyched that we were getting a new Spider-Man, even though I'd been hesitant with Amazing, and then severely like upset with Amazing 2. Spider-Man 3 is terrible, but I do enjoy it. It's awful, but it's funny to watch like with your mates and stuff. It's like Batman and Robin, but although not as bad. Anyway, Spider-Man Homecoming had a difficult job of making everybody go, hey, guess what? It's a new Spider-Man again. But they had the slight leg up of Civil War, where Captain America Civil War had introduced us to the new Spider-Man. And then this movie made the very smart decision of just picking up after that. No origin, you get suggestions of the origin, they assume you as members of the public, members of the burping public, would have absorbed it through the cultural zeitgeist. You know the basics about Spider-Man. They hint at it, hint at the origin. But here's the thing, I think what the film excelled in was setting up something we haven't seen before. At least within the mainstream superhero movies. Films like Sky High have touched on this before. Great film, you should watch it. but it was the story of a superhero, a kid superhero, in a world of superheroes. We've not had that with the Spider-Man movie before, so that angle alone made it very different. Michael Keaton's Vulture was really enjoyable. In fact, the Vulture was done really well because it wasn't really the Vulture, but it was an interesting, compelling character. Continuing the Marvel tradition of the villains being a bit, but Michael Keaton just sort of brought something else to it that made him really like he was a relatable villain, but not in a I must redeem myself kind of way. He was still a bad guy at the end. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Some really nice set pieces, wonderful cast throughout. The script was fun and light and silly. I was going to say Gank, but that's the character that this version of Ned's based off of. Ned was a wonderful addition to the cast. The Iron Man stuff wasn't overwhelming. It was the right amount. I dug it. If you like the MCU movies, and you like Spider-Man, and you're worried that it's not going to get as good as Spider-Man 2 again, spoiler alert, I don't think anything's going to top Spider-Man 2 as far as Spider-Man movies go, but Homecoming, as far as in this pre-existing universe, comes pretty close. I give it a lovely 4 stars by Jingo. Apes, together, strong, especially in a trilogy. War for the Planet of the Apes, my god. My god. Excellent. This is a very sort of underdog trilogy in that it's a blockbuster tentpole for the last several summers since 2011. This is the 3rd entry in this series, but it's not, people aren't going along going, yeah, Planet of the Apes movies! The reaction seems to be people coming out of it, like myself, sort of going, that was really, really good. And that's it. I think this is a trilogy that when looked back on in the future will be seen as much bigger and impressive as it's sort of being regarded in present day. But War for the Planet of the Apes, excellent movie, really poignant. It's very much chapter 3 of a trilogy, and that alone means you should check it out, especially if you enjoyed Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Andy Serkis gives, the guy always gives the performance of his career, but absolutely in this, Caesar is just a wonderful creation of performance capture and direction, and Woody Harrelson's villain is suitably a villain, he's kind of over the top and it works. It's not a war. It's a prison escape movie, and it's about family and love and embracing change. And it's powerful stuff. I wept like a baby at one particular bit, and I won't say what. Listen to our podcast about it to find out where. But yeah, amazing. War for the Planet of the Apes. 4-star, strongest of the 3. Phenomenal stuff. The Dark Tower, aka Sony going, hey, no, we've always had a cinematic universe. We have! All the Stephen King movies are connected. Look, there's the Overlook Hotel in a photo frame on the psychiatrist's shelf. There you go. See, the Shining's part of this, and Jake's got the shine, from The Shining. Oh, look, there's a carnival, a destroyed carnival with Pennywise written on it. No, it's not going to work. The Dark Tower is based on a series of Stephen King books that are essentially a fantasy, horror, sci-fi, western hybrid. Matt knows much more about them, and he filled me in before we saw the movie. The central premise is that there is a dark tower, a large tower structure at the centre of all existence, and all realities and dimensions span off from it. And there are the gunslingers who protect the tower, and if the tower should ever fall, creation will crumble, and there are dark forces outside of their own universe that are trying to make that happen. The plot of the movie is a young kid called Jake is randomly whisked away into a young adult adventure, Harry Potter, the Eragon, Sorcerer's Apprentice, Spiderwick Chronicles type story, which could work. You could have a kid from Earth be the central character who's whisked away into this to find out more about it. But the film wasn't marketed like this. The film was marketed as sort of a science fiction fantasy. Then we went in, and it was like, oh, it's a kid's film. Matthew McConaughey's the Man in Black could be a really great villain. He's certainly having a good go at it. But the tone of the movie's completely wrong for him. If it was a darker tone, it was more an adult flick, then it would work. Idris Elba's gunslinger is completely wasted, really. Jake, the main kid, is pretty good. It's dull, guys. Badly paced. The way we felt about the film, the sort of feeling it gives off, is that it was a 5-hour cut of a film. narrowed down to an hour and a half, and then narrowed down a bit more to about an hour 15, and then they added in some scenes that weren't necessary, that had nothing to do with the stuff they'd cut or to help it flow. It feels like a Franken movie, just pieced together from a cut that exists elsewhere. But I'm not sure that cut would be good either. No matter how many times you show me that one of the characters is reading a misery book. You know? It's like, no, not very good. Some nice cinematography and some pretty set design. 2 stars. Now, as for a Stephen King adaptation that's worth your time, It came out this past week. Mostly known to those outside of King's books as the 1990 TV miniseries starring Tim Curry as Pennywise the Dancing Clown. This adaptation is really good. I've read it, not for at least 10 years or so now, but as we were leaving the movie, I kept turning to Matt, who, again, massive King fan. I was going, that was from the book, wasn't it? He's like, yeah. And I was like, that was from the book, wasn't it? That was a bit different, but they did that, and that was a reference. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh! They shift the action of the central story from the 50s to the 80s, which makes sense because when you get to the modern day part, later on, not in this movie, it'll be closer to actual modern day, because it was the 80s in the book. But the basic premise is the Losers Club are a group of kids from high school who are going into summer vacation, and they're looking to just have fun, and they meet a couple of new friends over the course of the summer. But the thing is, the adults don't seem to have noticed something that they've picked up on, which is that children have been going missing throughout this year. And they start to investigate, because Billy's brother Georgie also went missing, so he's determined to find out what happened. At the same time, they're all having what they think are hallucinations or dreams. But the common theme that several of them have had is the appearance of this clown. And that's when they realise that they're not dreaming, they're all seeing things. This clown has something to do with the disappearing kids, and they're going to get to the bottom of it. It's Nightmare on Elm Street meets the Goonies, pretty much. Holy shit, where to begin? Some really cool practical effects, some really eerie set pieces, very creepy atmosphere throughout the film. This is the second film from the same director of Mama, which wasn't an amazing movie, but looked great. And the scares that he sort of played with in that, he's perfected for this. The kid cast, the central cast of all the kids, are phenomenal. The Stranger Things comparison is obvious, considering one of them is in both, but it's very much that feel. If you've never read the book or you never saw the 1990s miniseries, if you want a frame of reference as to what this story's kind of like, Stranger Things. The difference is, there is death and consequence in Stranger Things. In this, there is a variety of very creative, deaths and scares. It's really freaky. The danger is real. From the off, you're not like, oh, it's a horror film starring kids, they're all going to be fine. No. People get hurt. Violence is real. The threat of death is very real in this movie, but death isn't the thing that they have to fear. Fear is the thing they have to fear. It's wonderful. Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise as well, one of the faces of this creature that lives beneath the town of Derry, is great. He doesn't try to ape Tim Curry at all, which is a smart decision, though there's a hint of Tim Curry in the growl in his voice, which is quite nice. But some reviews have been mistakenly saying, like, oh, this Pennywise doesn't fuck around. It's like, that one didn't either. The one in the 90s miniseries. The difference is, this one's just a little creepier looking and has more creepy set pieces where he's involved fully, as opposed to just sort of being there and taunting them. But Pennywise isn't an evil clown. Like, he's not a slasher murderer. Like, it's just one guise of this thing, of it. And the clown is obviously going to make jokes and be charming and weirdly friendly. And in the 90s miniseries, it was more goofy and scary. And in this, it's more, I don't know, the scares are a little subtle at first with him. The opening scene is one of the most famous scenes associated with it as a story, which is Georgie following his boat down the road in the rain and talking to Pennywise in the sewer grate on the edge of the sidewalk, the edge of the pavement. And in that scene, Pennywise is almost charming to a point, and it's great. Really nice choice, really nice turn, great visual effects, nice tweaking of some of the scenes from the books. very wise decision to remove some scenes from the book that also the TV movie didn't touch on, so fair enough. Child cast phenomenal. Worth the watch, 4 stars. Well, that's a 5-movie catch-up for you. If you want to get my up-to-the-minute reactions to movies, go to the Big Damn channel, because we talk about them on the podcast when we see them, including It this coming Friday. We'll be talking spoilers as well, so do check that out. And I'm also on 5 Who Fans. See my first 2 videos there, and I'll see you later. By Jove. Ooh.